5 minutes after 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago on this 19th of November, which is International Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Day, birthday of the Public Services Association, the day we lost to the United States in a vital World Cup qualifier in 1989, and it's also International Men's Day, which was founded, we are told, by the University of the West Indies lecturer Dr. Jerome Tilaksing in 1999. Since then, many groups and organizations worldwide have hosted events to meet the varying needs of males. It's no secret that there are many more events catered to women than to men. But is the gap closing or widening? Well, Dr. Tilaksing himself joins us this morning. Good to have you with us, Dr. Tilaksing.
Good morning, Fazil. Good morning to your listeners and viewers. Happy International Men's Day.
Good to have you with us. I'm not looking to cause any bacchanal, but just trying to clarify for reasons of factual record of the thing. International Men's Day, was it actually founded by you? Because if you go on the internet, and I mean, I accept that Wikipedia is not necessarily your most authoritative source of information. You get information saying that a fellow named Thomas Oster inaugurated it in 1992, or that it was founded by some other people, and so on. Just give us some sense of it, just for the purposes of clarity.
Right, you are correct. You are correct. That is a fact, in that even in the 1960s, there were attempts to get this day going. But I started off an initiative which has the same name, International Men's Day, but it has a different outlook. And what I mean is that we had objectives, I had goals, more focused, and I also wanted to have women in the dialogue, transcend that gender barrier. So my version is different from the earlier version.
And I have to say that yours has really taken off, because we see now at an international level, international personalities and so on, all endorsing the messages of International Men's Day. So here we are in 2020, Dr. Tilaksing. What is the message? What are the issues that you feel need to be highlighted on this day?
I believe that some of the main issues include men taking care of themselves. And when I mean taking care of themselves, I don't mean going by the hairdresser or the barber, but I mean having annual health checkups, cholesterol, blood pressure, diabetes, also ensuring that their mental state is also good, so that we have men who might have suicidal thoughts. They don't want to go for treatment. Men who are depressed, men who are bipolar, and they don't want to go on medication. So I think that health issue is so important. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, men are deficient, and we need to step up to the bar.
And in relation to that, and because COVID-19 has pushed everything onto cyberspace, is there anything being planned to mark the day? Anything significant happening today from your perspective?
Yes, we are having, throughout the world, we are having a lot of virtual conferences. Right here in Trinidad, we are having the Nallis Library having a session at 11 a.m. We are having the United Nations Association of Trinidad and Tobago having a virtual event at 6:30. So we are having, and the media, like yourself, they are having talk shows and interviews.
And where do people have to go? What website or Facebook page or what source do people have to go to access these dialogues? If they want to if not participate, to view the discussions that will be happening at Nallis or whatever else happening later today, where do you go to access this?
Yeah. You could check the respective Facebook sites or the web pages for those two organizations.
And from your own perspective, Dr. Tilaksing, from your stepping it up in 1999, we're now 21 years from then. Has it been able to achieve what you hoped it would achieve?
Firstly, you ask $1 million question, and to tell you the truth, it's very difficult for me, because I cannot measure it in scientific terms. I am not like a scientists who could say, I've found a vaccine, I've found a cure, I could identify a disease, and I've healed the disease. In that, people would have been helped, they would have been saved, they would have come back to the right path. But I cannot really have statistics to show you. And of course, you would know every year we have this high level of murders, we have domestic violence. So sometimes it doesn't look as if I'm achieving anything.
And how does that make you feel? Because, the we know bad news sells. We know, for example, that this man killing his wife, then committing suicide, this man cheating, and so on, and this man engaging in serial abuse gets a lot of attention. But the one or two or the many who are engaged in supporting their families, devoting all of their efforts to their families, working hard for their communities, that doesn't get the sort of attention because it doesn't make headlines. Given that reality, are you discouraged? Are you encouraged? What is your mindset?
I always like a good challenge in life, and life is about challenges. I see that as a challenge to take on the media, to find out why would something be sensational? Why is sensationalism so important, not just in the print but electronic media? So I have to try now to take on this mammoth task to also ensure that in this International Men's Day movement, this global men's movement, we highlight positive men who are invisible. They are invisible. They have never been honored. They are not on the front page of the newspaper, but they are caring, responsible fathers. Fazira, I could go on and tell you stories about husbands who are taking care of wives who are sick, dying of cancer, who have strokes, who have Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. These are the men we are not hearing about. I know about men who do volunteer work, social work. They go to the homes for the elderly. They go to orphanages. But these men do not want publicity. Too often the media focus on politicians. They focus on the negative aspects of men, as you mentioned, some of these men. And negativity has pervaded the world. It has created a dark cloud, and I think what we need more sunlight, we need more stars, we need to highlight some of these invisible good men like yourself who are responsible and know the value of the family unit.
Well, that's a generalization to include me in that category, but let's leave that leave that for the moment. But you have to admit, though, Dr. Tilak Singh, that the issues of violence cannot be ignored, because if it is that you have a situation, whether it's one, and it's not one, it's a lot more than one, that individuals who feel in their own mind, for however they've been brought up or not brought up properly, that they own this person, this female or this child, and they can do whatever they please. And this concept of what is referred to as toxic masculinity, as much as it might be a minority, it's clearly a minority that has a devastating impact, one, on those they actually affect, and two, the broader perception of manhood in Trinidad and Tobago.
I agree with you because men are stereotyped. There's a stigma that men are not just violent, but aggressive and loud. And I should also mention too, if you examine it from a historical or anthropological viewpoint, you would realize that this issue of violence is not recent. We see it in the animal kingdom. It might be part of our evolutionary makeup. We have this tendency, to react. And for somebody to be peaceful, somebody to be a mediator, somebody to be passive is not a sign of weakness. And this is what we have to try to deconstruct. That masculinity narrative has to be deconstructed, and we have to change the discourse. Too often, men often don't even want to cry. They don't want to show emotions. They have this pent up. So there is a feeling in society by a growing number of people that we have to change this perception of what masculinity is or what masculinities are.
And how do we change that? If we're talking about finding solutions, rather than just go on and on about the problems, rather than say, well, why only highlight the positive, you only highlight the negative. How do you solve that? How do you get to a situation where, if we're talking about men's health and men looking after themselves, which I understand is the theme of International Men's Day 2020, how do you get men to appreciate that there's nothing wrong with saying, look, I need to talk to somebody. I need help. I need to do some counseling. I need someone to unclutter my brain because I feel so angry. I feel so enraged by this, that, and the other. I need to talk to someone. How do you create that environment where someone could say that openly without someone watching them funny and saying if all you're going mad or something?
See, that is that is something that is not short term. That it sounds very nice, to say we're going to deal with this issue, but it takes almost an entire generation, maybe the next generation. We have to now socialize them differently, and we have to start from the boys. It's difficult to change the growth of a tree, but if we could catch the seedlings. So what I've been telling people, even at the kindergarten level, the preschool level, we have to ensure that there are programs to ensure that young boys, young girls are aware of their health, are aware of how they deal with others, are aware of certain boundaries you might not cross. So yes, you are correct. We have to identify solutions. We have to deal with it. But it's very difficult if a minority are dealing with it. So it has to start at the educational level. The media has to get involved. And I should also mention, many of the NGOs are doing a lot of good work on the ground in the trenches, and they also must be commended. But I want to highlight something, Fuzzy, which might be controversial. And I have noticed, I don't know if your other viewers have noticed, but many of our businesses, businessmen and women, the corporate sector, they are quick to give funding, financial assistance to political parties and other projects, but they will not assist. They will not assist a project that will be helping to uplift men or helping to solve some of the problems. And this is not a Trinidad and Tobago problem. It's a global problem. We saw how many billions of dollars were wasted in the last election in the United States.
Well, you just give the reason why, and I know it might sound controversial, but it's probably factual, because what money is there? What benefit is there for the business community to contribute to a men's organization or a group that is looking to assist men in particularly underserved communities and so on? When you give to political parties, the returns are there. So you understand why.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, because over the years, the last 21 years, I, along with many men from around the world, have taken money from our pockets, personal expenses, to pay for venues, refreshments, sprint programs, all because we believe in this idea, we believe in change. And I want to salute all those men and women who have taken their time, made the sacrifice, given their energy to ensure that International Men's Day is kept alive.
We have just about 4 minutes left in our discussion, Dr. Tilak Singh, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning, as I'm sure you'll be with other elements of the media highlighting International Men's Day. What is your essential message? What would you like to see happen? Or as you said, it's a process. It's not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen next 5 years. As you said correctly, maybe a generation. But really, what would give you encouragement that this entire endeavor is on the right track?
I would like to see more dialogue. I would like to see more constructive dialogue. Could be constructive criticism, but I want to see both men and women sitting down, both boys and girls sitting down, and trying to find solutions to peer pressure, bullying, separation, common law relationships that fail, marriages that go through a divorce. Find out how we could peacefully solve these problems. And this is what I hope, that once we have this dialogue, we could create a peaceful neighborhood, a community, a more peaceful nation. And this is how we need to measure progress. We can't just look at GDP and GNP to say, well, our economy is good or our country is well developed. We have to look at how the dialogue, how the discussions are occurring amongst our men and women, amongst our adults.
Is that happening? Are you satisfied that at least there is an effort for that to happen, rather than it be a constant competition of, well, what about me, or what about hearing they're siding with you and they're not even giving me a hearing, that sort of thing. Are you satisfied that there's at least an effort to create a real dialogue between men and women?
There is an undercurrent. It's a small undercurrent. It's a minority, but it is there, and it's just for that spark to get going. But it is very unfortunate that there are so many negative forces that want us divided. And Fazil, you will know that during slavery and indentureship, divide and rule was so important to keep us divided, and it has continued even today in 2020. Many people want to see men and women divided. They want to see us divided along racial and ethnic and cultural lines.
Indeed, so many divisions in that regard. But as we conclude, Dr. Tilak Singh, and again, thanks for being with us this morning. The discussion at NALIS this morning is at 11 a.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
11, and later there's one that is going to be hosted internationally.
6:30, United Nations Association of Trinidad and Tobago, with Ray Braffett is the president of that